Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Rachel Carr, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a recipe for a vegan and raw blood orange and chocolate cheesecake. This cheesecake has swirls of chocolate and blood orange filling, and there's a chocolate, date, and walnut crust on the bottom. It does take a little bit of work to put together, but trust me, it's so beautiful, it's going to be worth it. This isn't the most low-calorie dessert. It does have quite a bit of coconut oil, and there's also agave or maple syrup to sweeten it. So it's definitely the kind of thing that you want to save for a special occasion. It's kind of like raw vegan party food. So anyway, let's get started.
We're gonna start making the crust of the cheesecake with some walnuts, some cacao powder, some cinnamon, and a little bit of sea salt in the food processor. And then we're going to puree it just a little bit so that everything is well combined. Next, we're gonna add about 10 pitted dates, and we're going to chop that up with the cacao and walnut mixture. You'll know the crust is ready when it sticks together after it's been compressed in the palm of your hand. By the way, this crust recipe makes brilliant bliss balls. We're going to be using a springform pan to make this cheesecake, although if you don't have one of these kind of pans, you can use a regular pie pan. I like to line it in plastic because I feel like it's easier to get the finished pie or cheesecake out of the pan. I like to wrap it in a little bit of plastic like I'm doing here because I just feel like it releases a little bit better. And then we're going to attach the sides of the pan, and now it's ready to put the crust inside. So basically you just want to dump the walnut and chocolate crust mixture into the springform pan and spread it out in a nice even layer with the palm of your hand. And then you're going to use the pads of your fingers to compress the crust into the pan. This is very, very important that it gets well compressed, because this is part of what helps it hold together and form a nice base for your cheesecake. Next, we need to prepare a few ingredients for our filling. We're going to start by taking 2 cups of organic raw cashews, and then we're going to soak them in filtered water for about 1 hour. Next, we need to melt a little bit of coconut oil in a bath of hot water. I just like to add a jar to some hot water and leave it there. And then we need to peel and chop 2 sweet red apples. You don't need to worry about chopping it too fine because we're going to be pureeing this in a blender. And of course, this is a blood orange cheesecake, so we are going to be zesting and juicing 2 organic blood oranges. I like to clean the blood oranges off first before I zest them, just to make sure that I'm not getting anything that you don't want in the cheesecake with that zest. Next, we're going to make the filling in the blender by adding 1 of the apples, half a cup of maple syrup or agave, the juice of both blood oranges, a half a cup of melted coconut oil, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, that orange zest, half a teaspoon of sea salt, and a little bit of soy lecithin, and of course 1 cup of the soaked cashews. Once it's really smooth, you're going to set this aside, and then we're going to wash the blender out and make the chocolate half of the cheesecake filling. Once the chocolate cheesecake filling is super smooth, now it's time to swirl the 2 together in the prepared crust. Create the swirl by alternating between the blood orange and the chocolate filling mix. Try to pour as close as you can into the center of the pan. I like to think of it as pouring a bullseye, concentric circles out of the two different flavors of cheesecake filling. Create a design on the surface of the cheesecake with the tip of a knife or a chopstick. This is a time when you can get really creative with the look that you're trying to create with the cheesecake. And then finally, we're going to give the whole cheesecake a little bit of a tap on the counter to get any air bubbles out from inside the cake. And then we're going to refrigerate it or freeze it overnight. Let the cheesecake thaw out if you froze it especially. I actually like to store this cheesecake in the freezer because it only takes about 10 or 15 minutes before it's nice and soft and feels like it's at room temp. So there you have it, one decadent, rich, blood orange chocolate swirl raw vegan cheesecake. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to puree that like button.